Hello viewers, I'm your host Uzma Jafri with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show with India, where the 8th Global Entrepreneurial Summit was held in Hyderabad. The event, held under the aegis of NITI Aayog, attracted as many as 1,500 entrepreneurs from 170 countries for a 3-day summit. We have a report.
India rolled out the red carpet for Ivanka Trump, daughter and advisor to the US President Donald Trump at Business Summit held in the Southern Tech Hub of Hyderabad. The 3-day event, conceived by former US President Barack Obama, was co-hosted by India and the United States for the first time in South Asia this year. Developed by a Bengaluru-based startup, a humanoid robot greeted Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Ivanka Trump during the inauguration ceremony of the summit. Chief guest Ivanka Trump, who is an American fashion designer, author and businesswoman, praising Indians, said that Indians, through their own hard work, have lifted more than 130 million citizens out of poverty.
Just consider, if India closes the labor force gender gap by half, your economy could grow by over $150 billion in the next 3 years. As we kick off this 3-day summit, I encourage everyone here to come together, learn from each other, and find new ways to lift barriers in our society so that women are free to innovate, empowered to succeed, and able to leave our children a brighter future.
This year's summit highlighted the theme Women First, Prosperity for All, and focused on supporting women entrepreneurs and fostering economic growth globally. More than half the participants were women, and all female delegations represented several countries, including those from Afghanistan, Israel, and Saudi Arabia.
Fueling the growth of women-led businesses isn't simply good for society, it's good for our economy. One study estimates that closing the gender entrepreneurship gap worldwide could grow our global GDP by as much as 2%. Women still face steep obstacles to starting, owning, and growing their businesses. We must ensure women entrepreneurs have access to capital, access to networks and mentors.
Apart from lauding the women's contribution to India's history and present, Modi emphasized about the growing economic and security partnership between India and the US and said the Global Entrepreneur Summit underlined the close ties between New Delhi and Washington, D.C. He also asserted at the common vision India and United States shared in achieving prosperity together.
The event not only connects the Silicon Valley with Hyderabad, but also showcases the close ties between the United States of America and India. It underlines our shared commitment towards encouraging entrepreneurship and innovation.
India has become a major market for the United States with two-way trade of about $115 billion last year. They aim to raise that to $500 billion by 2022. Military and strategic ties are also improving as China's influence rises in Asia and beyond.
Yes, but of course effort is needed.
The 8th annual GES was significant in many ways, as it was the first time that this summit was hosted in South Asia. This was also the first time that summit witnessed more than 50% women participation. Moving on to Pakistan, where a hardline Pakistani Islamist group called off nationwide protests after the government met its demand that a government minister accused of blasphemy resign, following weekend clashes with police that paralyzed major cities. The fact that the deal between government and protesters was brokered by the Pakistan army sparked concerns that the military may be meddling in politics. A report.
A hardline Islamist party, Tehreek-e-Labbaik, crippled many cities across Pakistan with weeks-long blockade against a change in wording to an electoral law, changing a religious oath to a simple declaration which it said amounted to blasphemy. 7 people were killed and nearly 200 wounded in an unsuccessful police-led operation to clear the Islamist protesters who accused a government minister of blasphemy. The nationwide protests were called off only after the resignation of Pakistan's Law Minister Zahid Hamid. However, the agreement between the government and protesters, brokered by Pakistan Army to end the blockade, triggered concerns about the involvement of military in the country's politics. A shocking video emerged showing an army officer hailing the victory of the protesters and distributing money for their role in bringing the government to its knees.
ये हमारी तरफ से क्या हम आपके साथ नहीं हैं? क्या हम आपके साथ नहीं हैं? आप नहीं बोल हाँ ये देखें हमारे बच्चों की बात सुन.
Such incident exposes Pakistan's failed democracy and judiciary, where religious fundamentalists and the army keeps an upper hand. Pakistani army has repeatedly undermined the democracy and the constitution of the country by meddling in its political affairs. The effusive praise for General Bajwa's role as mediator has triggered some concern among moderate politicians and criticism from a judge in Islamabad. A High Court judge, Shaukat Aziz Siddiqui, issued an order demanding the government explain why the military had helped negotiate the deal.
Every siege has been weakening the civilian government's control over state system and shifting of the decision-making powers from Islamabad to Rawalpindi. We are now joined by Kamar Agha, a defense expert and a South Asian political analyst. Mr. Agha, what are your views on what transpired in Pakistan over 3 weeks when whole country was held ransom by the Islamist fundamentalists?
There are different groups within the fundamentalist organizations. They are trying to gain control over the situation or trying to gain, support among the people. Liberal secular groups have virtually been marginalized in Pakistan. Now the only fundamentalist organizations are, at the helm of the affairs. Army doesn't want PPP or Nawaz Sharif, Muslim League or other ANP or other secular organizations. So new alignment is taking place and competition is taking place within the Islamist groups. This time, most of the groups which has emerged are from the Barelvis and some other groups, have become active. Army is using both Jamaat Islami on one side, and now they are also trying, in fact for quite some time they have been trying, the so-called liberals or the Barelvis, their focus. So there will be a competition among themselves, and this next few months elections are going to take place. So it is in preparation all these things are happening.
We all are aware of the Pakistan Army's increasing influence in the domestic politics as well as the judiciary of the country. Do you foresee another military rule in the country?
I don't see another military rule because that has to be backed by United States. Without the United States sanctions, they cannot impose military rule. So, and their relations are not good with United States, and I don't think they'll get any approval this time. So therefore what they are trying to do is to have a supportive government at the center and in the states. So they are bringing their own people. Militant organizations have now floated their own political parties who would be contesting next election. Who would fight election against them? I don't think anybody would dare to do so. So then now other Islamic group is also emerging. So most of these there will be a coalition or some sort of understanding with both the groups, that the militant back organization comes into power or some fundamentalist organizations or extremist groups gain ground. All of them have closer ties with Pakistan military establishment. So I mean, the real power military continued to assert.
Thank you, Mr. Agha. Now we talk about Balochistan, Pakistan's largest province, where the deteriorating human rights situation remains a major concern. In its continuous effort to highlight the situation in Balochistan, the World Baloch Organization has launched an awareness campaign in London City. We have a report.
Many such mobile vans with huge billboards are roaming around prominent locations in London City, including the embassies of Pakistan and China. The billboards on mobile vans read, "Raise your voice against extrajudicial killings, disappearances and torture in Balochistan by Pakistan Army." These mobile vans are part of a campaign launched by World Balochistan Organisation (WBO), which is run by exiled Baloch activists.
For Baloch Voice for Baloch Missing Persons, 10 साल से बैठे हैं, रोज़ एहतजाज कर रहे हैं। कोयटा हो, कराची हो, इस्लामाबाद हो, यहाँ तक कि वो कोयटा से इस्लामाबाद तक उन्होंने पैदल मार्च किया हमारे बच्चों और ख़वातीन ने जस्टिस के लिए, ताकि शायद हमें इस्लामाबाद की सुप्रीम कोर्ट से इंसाफ मिले। लेकिन इंसाफ तो क्या, उनके सर पर किसी ने शफ़क़त और मोहब्बत का हाथ तक नहीं रखा।
WBO also ran a Free Balochistan campaign by advertising messages on buses and taxis in London. However, the messages were removed after Pakistan opposed it. The aim of this campaign has been to generate awareness in the Western world about the worsening human rights situation in Balochistan and exploitation of resources through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC or CPEC, a multi-billion development project which passes through Balochistan.
The Pakistani state is not only carrying out enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings in Balochistan, but is also carrying out an aggressive military operation in parts of Balochistan where the media isn't allowed, where international human rights organizations or NGOs have no access, and they're using sophisticated weaponry given to them by the international community to target extremist elements such as the Taliban and others who have caused instability in the region. Now, the Pakistani military has been using these weapons against the secular, progressive Baloch people for the last 10 to 15 years.
Balochistan is Pakistan's largest and resource-rich province, but the indigenous people are deprived of basic facilities like health, drinking water and education. A majority of Baloch people accuse Islamabad of occupying their territory and they are demanding freedom. However, the Pakistani security forces are carrying out atrocities on the locals and incidents of enforced disappearances, torture and killings are on the rise. The Baloch activists are now seeking international support to get justice.
The situation in Balochistan is really worrisome. We are now joined by Bhaval Mengal, an activist from World Baloch Organization. Mr. Bengal, your struggle for Balochistan has continued for a long time. What kind of response have you received this time around, and how Pakistan establishment has reacted to this?
Our goal with this campaign has been to make the people of London aware of the human rights abuses that are taking place in Balochistan by the Pakistani military, which sadly some people have never even heard of. The overall response we've received from the campaign has been very positive and motivating. The response from the Pakistani authorities, however, hasn't surprised us. Even though our ads didn't mention Pakistan, it seems that whenever Balochistan is mentioned internationally, it invokes the guilty conscience of the Pakistani authorities. They panic and turn to desperate measures to conceal the truth. The Pakistani government calls the campaign malicious. Well, if asking for freedom is a crime, then I guess 45% of Scotland committed that crime.
Please explain our viewers the fundamental issues for which you seek a free Balochistan.
Just imagine, in perfectly peaceful and democratic conditions where people are not subjected to human rights abuses whatsoever, people felt the need to ask for freedom. Why? For the sole reason of keeping their identity alive. Then how can you blame the people of Balochistan, who to start off with were illegally occupied? On top of that, have faced 7 decades of atrocities by the Pakistani army. Thousands have been killed, thousands disappeared. One of the most richest areas in the region has been deprived of its own resources. Just imagine, the people of the town that has been providing Pakistan with gas for 60 years burn wood to this day. Pakistan's days of deceiving the world are coming to an end.
Thank you, Mr. Mengal. Moving on to Bangladesh, where Pope Francis was on a 3-day visit to the country. He met his followers and ordained new priests from Bangladesh. Pope also admired Bangladesh's sacrifice in extending humanitarian care to more than 600,000 Rohingya refugees who have streamed across the border. A report.
President Abdul Hamid welcomed Pope Francis, who arrived Dhaka after visiting the diplomatically sensitive Buddhist dominant Myanmar. Pope Francis, who avoided using the term Rohingya, called for decisive measures to resolve the political crisis causing mostly Muslim refugees from neighboring Myanmar to flee to Bangladesh.
Nei mesi scorsi, lo spirito di generosità e di solidarietà che caratterizza la società del Bangladesh si è manifestato molto chiaramente nel suo slancio umanitario a favore dei rifugiati affluiti in massa dallo stato di Rakhine, provvedendoli di un riparo temporaneo e delle necessità primarie per la vita. Questo è stato fatto con non poco sacrificio ed è stato fatto sotto gli occhi del mondo intero. Nessuno di noi può mancare di essere consapevole della gravità della situazione, dell'immenso costo richiesto di umane sofferenze e delle precarie condizioni di vita di così tanti nostri fratelli e sorelle, la maggioranza dei quali sono donne e bambini, ammassati nei campi profughi.
More than 100,000 people attended the mass in Dhaka's Suharwati Udyan Park, site of a memorial and museum of Bangladesh independence from Pakistan in 1971, where Francis arrived in an open Pope mobile. He toured the park and waved at people carrying mass pamphlets.
Yeah, yesterday when I was saw the television, the time was when I could go to the face to face, I can meet and talk with him. That will be better for me. But unfortunately, I didn't talk with him. But I saw him from maybe 100 meters. But it's my pleasure to see him here. It's a very pleasure to see him from now.
Pope Francis also celebrated a huge outdoor mass to ordain new priests from Bangladesh on his first full day in the country. Catholics make up less than 1% of the population of 169 million people in majority Muslim Bangladesh.
It was not just Pope, but Bangladesh's role in handling the Rohingya crisis has been acknowledged and appreciated worldwide. Moving on to Nepal, where the simultaneous process of federal as well as provincial council election is underway. Parties following different ideologies from every corner of the Himalayan nation are in fray. A report.
People of Nepal, braving a chilly winter morning, were present at the polling booths to cast their votes for local as well as federal representatives. These elections carry a huge significance as it is the first time a transition could be seen at the country's political helm. various parties are adopting desperate measures, including muscle flexing, in order to sway the electoral outcome.
सभाबाट संविधान बनायौं र अब संविधान बनाइसकेपछि अब चाहिँ नेपालमा लामो समयदेखिको चाहिँ राजनीतिक अस्थिरता चाहिँ एक प्रकारको राजनीतिक लडाई अधिकार प्राप्तिको लडाई सकिया छ। अब यो निर्वाचनले निश्चित रूपमा बहुमतको सरकार 5 वर्ष ग्यारेन्टी सहितको बहुमतको सरकार बनाउने राजनीतिक अस्थिरताको अन्त गर्ने र समृद्धिको दिशामा जान्छ भन्ने मलाई विश्वास लाग्छ।
Nepal has gone through a tumultuous phase in the last 2 years, including a 4-month blockade at the border which crippled the Nepalese economy and a prolonged Madhesi agitation for the better representation in the constitution. While some believe that post-elections all issues will be resolved, others do not have high hopes of political stability returning to the country.
स्थिरता त खासै नहोला जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई त उस्तै हो जस्तो लाग्छ कि अहिलेसम्म। त्यसको कारण त अब जो पनि अगाडि अब जो पनि पोस्टमा पुगेपछि भ्रष्टाचार गर्ने यताउता पोस्टमा नपुगन्जेरी यस्तो गर्छौँ उस्तो गर्छौँ भन्ने त्यसपछि पोस्टमा पुगेपछि त त्यही त नि सबैलाई लोभ लागिहाल्छ नि।
A 65% turnout in first phase of the elections is a vivid manifestation of the fact that Nepal has come a long way ever since the Maoist rebellion ended in the country a decade ago. The people of the Himalayan country want their future to be robust and prosperous.
Political analysts believe that Nepal has gained a significant voice in international political circuit, and with the successful conduct of the elections, it will add another feather to its list of achievements. Moving on to India, Chandigarh's much-awaited yearly event, Chandigarh Carnival 2017, kicked off with a bang, and the 3-day-long event promises to entertain the people to the fullest. Winter has set in and people of Chandigarh are ready to beat the winter blues with the Chandigarh Carnival 2017, which will be held in Leisure Valley.
The North Indian city of Chandigarh witnessed a major multicultural carnival. The 3-day-long festival had the theme of Indradhanush or rainbow. The carnival consisted of various stalls which displayed arts and crafts and cultural programs. Joy rides and camel rides for the children were also organized, and the presence of many cartoon characters in the festival thrilled the children.
These rides like Minion ride, Doraemon ride, it's like हम लोग childhood में वापस चले गए, so it's like very much fun over there riding on these things.
Car lovers got to enjoy the vintage vehicles which were on display at the Government Museum and Art Gallery. Organized by the Tourism Department, the carnival aims to promote art and culture of the region.
This is, I think, a very good effort by the Chandigarh tourism. This offers a lot of cultural extravaganza to the citizens of the city, and it adds color, it adds music, it adds lots of play for children. You may be also interested in knowing that for the love of people, we have also brought vintage cars for you to see. They will also probably present a very nice picture to everybody.
Food stall which sold special North Indian food like chole bhature, biryani and sweet dishes like gulab jamun. At the end, a music concert was also organized as a part of the carnival. The 3-day festival had brought the entire city to the festival as a family.
The city of Chandigarh hosts a plethora of such events every year. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Goodbye and take care.